We call it the American dream, but it is quickly becoming a fantasy. Home ownership. ABC 7's Dwayne Lindo is here to explain. Dwayne.
Well, Alan, that's right. If you feel it's never been more difficult to break into the housing market, you're not alone. It's especially tough for millennials.
Young people, it seems, are finding the American dream of owning a home slipping away from year to year. And 25-year-old Sarasota resident Chris Fago says part of it has to do with the debilitating process.
It was definitely an uphill battle.
After years of saving and almost 2 years of going through the process, he finally closed on a home.
Loan officers and banks, they want virtually zero debt to your name, but they also want credit history. So in essence, it's like impossible to have no debt and have credit histories.
And according to realtor John Wilcher, he's right. He says lending requirements has completely changed and continues to change.
The mortgage aspect is still going to be a serious issue. The college debt's going to be an issue, and the credit card debt's going to be an issue. And with the tightening restrictions of those debt ratios from the mortgage industry, it makes it tougher.
University of South Florida economics professor Dr. Michael Snipes has seen the rate decline over the years. He attributes the economic downturn as part of the reason why the home ownership rate is currently at 63%, the lowest since the 1960s. And for Americans under 35, it has fallen to 34.1%.
People are still recovering from the financial crisis in 2008, which was caused by the housing market.
Snipes points out the biggest problems are a lack of wage growth, poor credit scores, and insufficient savings. So the easiest way to increase home ownership is to tackle the problem head on.
We've got a lot of policies, or maybe not a lot of policies, might be the even bigger issue, that aren't really helping the middle class to recover. And that's kind of making the process of recovery even worse for the everyday person.
And here locally, Welcher says the millennials who have the qualifications to buy a home are extremely disappointed with what they can get with the money they have.
So they default to, well, if that's the only thing that I can afford in this area, I'm just going to wait and rent for a couple of years and I'll, quote, save, or I'll live with mom and dad before I can get that. Over the past couple of years, when they say, quote, I want to save, the market just keeps higher and higher and higher and higher. And yes, they are getting pushed out of the market.
For Wilcher, it all comes back to affordable housing for homeowners.
I think here locally, nobody wants to address it. Nobody wants to get behind it. Nobody's really interested in it. I've been hearing affordable housing, and we all have for my 13 years here, but I can't think of one thing that's been done.
Despite the constant decline of this American dream, Fago has advice for those who can obtain it.
Sometimes you're going to have to bend the rules a little bit and say, I wanted this, but I guess I could settle for that. Sometimes that is a factor, but patience is number one.
Now, FHA standards would require, on average, 3.5% for down payment for millennials when purchasing a home.
All right, Dwayne, thanks a lot. And when we come back, our roundtable discussion.